Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all my Fairy Tale Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for post Battles of Legend Heroes Revenge. With the latest Battles of Legend, we received a few more of the Fairy Tale cards to add in to the whole deck that Leon used in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. It's a really interesting and fun deck. The whole point of the deck, it focuses around Golden Castle of Stromberg, with a good amount of the Fairy Tale monsters having effects, and then, additional effects if Golden Castle of Stromberg is on the field. And it's a very strong and powerful field spell that definitely does, make for the main plays for the deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the monsters, I run 3 Prinzessin. This is one of your main monsters you use in the deck. If this card is normal or special summon, you can special summon 1 Pumpkin Carriage from your hand or deck. Then if Golden Castle of Stromberg is in the field zone, you can equip 1 Glass Slippers from your deck to this card. You can only use this effect of Prinzessin once per turn. And when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent by a direct attack, you can target 1 Glass Slippers equipped to this card and 1 face-up monster on the field. Equip those Glass Slippers to that target. So not only do you get an additional monster and an equip spell with this card when Golden Castle of Stromberg is on the field, you also just have the ability to then transfer the Glass Slippers to another monster, which really does hinder your opponent's effects based on, just what Glass Slippers can do. We'll get to that when we get to the spell cards. But just also with Golden Castle of Stromberg's easy special summon of your monsters, able to, summon Prinzessin out to the field quite easily, and then just extend your plays from there. And then your next monster you go for is Hextrude. You run 3 of this as well. If Golden Castle of Stromberg is on the field, you can normal summon this card without tributing. And once per turn, if Golden Castle of Stromberg is on the field zone, you can target 1 card on the field, except this one, destroy it. If you do, this card can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase this turn. And when this card destroys a monster by battle, you can target 1 face-up monster on the field, and you control it gains 400 attack. It is your true powerhouse of the deck that you use, having 2600 attack, another easy monster to get out with Golden Castle of Stromberg as well. So definite 3 of. You're not really limited to this card as long as you have that card on the field to use. I also run 3 Glyph, the Phantom Bird. With this one, you can discard this to add 1 Golden Castle of Stromberg from your deck to your hand. And if this card is normal or special summon, you can target 1 card in your opponent's spell and trap card zone, destroy it. You can only use this effect of Glyph, the Phantom Bird, once per turn. The search for Golden Castle of Stromberg is the main focus of this card. You want to always have that card on the field. So using Glyph to search out that card is your main go-to effect with this. I think the biggest problem, obviously, is your opponent stopping the search for Golden Castle, since if you can't, actually have Golden Castle on the field, it really does stop your plays. But having an extra search option, aside from just having to obviously, draw out the card itself, is a big help to the deck, especially. And I also run 2 Pumpkin Carriage. Was debating how many of these I wanted to run to keep it consistent with Prinzessin. I might bump this up to 3 if I would. I'll move around some of my spell or trap options, which I'll show which ones I could take out. But with this, Prinzessin you control can attack directly while this card's on the field, and your opponent cannot target Golden Castle of Stromberg you control with card effects. Also cannot be destroyed by card effects. So your Pumpkin Carriage definitely does help to protect your Golden Castle, and Golden Castle does the exact same with your Pumpkin Carriage whenever your opponent would attack, having its destruction effect, which we'll get to when we get to the spells for Golden Castle of Stromberg. So Pumpkin Carriage is just that added backup to help protect that card, and very easy to get out on the field due to Prinzessin. And then just for a couple more of the monsters, I also run 3 Iron Hans. With this one, if this card is summoned, you can special summon 1 Iron Knight from your deck. Also, if Golden Castle of Stromberg is not on the field zone, when this effect resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn. You can only use this effect of Iron Hans once per turn. It gains 1000 attack for each Iron Knight you control, and while Golden Castle is in the field zone. So it has that easy special summon of Iron Knight, which we'll get to in just a sec, but they're both level 4, so you have more access to your extra deck monsters. They're both also warrior monsters, so you have more access to different Exceed monsters in the extra deck to use as well. But it's just an easy special summon, and most of the time I summon the Iron Knight in defense mode because of its own effect, which I also only run 2 of. I run the 3 Iron Hans. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to use each one, for the fact that Golden Castle Stromberg banishes a good amount of your cards also. But with Iron Knight, it loses 1000 attack while you control Iron Iron Hans, which is why I always like to put it in defense, just for that extra protection. And if this card on the field is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can add 1 Iron Hans from your deck to your hand, or if Golden Castle is in the field zone, you can add 1 Warrior Monster from your deck to your hand instead. You can only use this effect of Iron Knight once per turn, so just that additional search for whatever you need definitely does help. And if you can summon Iron Hans again to get another Iron Knight on the field, the more Iron Knights you have, the stronger Hans is, of course, for its own attack. And then lastly, for the monsters, I run 2 Necroface. If this card is normal summon, shuffle all banished cards into your deck. This card gains 100 attack for each card shuffled into the main deck by this effect. If this card is banished, each player banishes 5 cards from the top of their deck for their entire deck if less than 5. So you have the option, because Golden Castle banishes 10 cards during each of your standby phases, to shuffle those back so you can at least keep the plays going. So very, very helpful card. That it's at 2 on the ban list, so that's the only reason I only run the 2 of them. But definitely very, very helpful for the chance that you'll deck out, because when you can't banish anymore, Golden Castle is destroyed as well. So definitely remember that with these cards. And that is it for the monsters. Moving on to the spells. We've talked about this card enough, but it is the most important card in the deck, and that is Golden Castle of Stromberg. Once per turn during your standby phase, you must banish 10 cards from the top of your deck face down. This is not optional, or this card is destroyed. And during your main phase, you can special summon 1 monster from your deck that specifically lists this card, Golden Castle of Stromberg, in its text. You cannot normal summon or set the turn you activate this effect, and if this card leaves the field, you can only use this effect of Golden Castle of Stromberg once per turn. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy the attacking monster, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the attack of that monster had on the field. So it protects your monsters from being attacked. It gives you easy access to any of the fairy tale monsters you run in the deck. You don't normal summon, but that's really not a limitation, because being able to get cards like Hextrude, Prinzessin, you name it, out onto the field that much faster and use their own effects. It is your go-to card, a very strong card at that for the deck, so opening it up first turn is definitely necessary for your plays to keep going. And I looked all over. I don't know where they are, but I only had the 1 glass slipper. I have all the other difficult cards. I misplaced the glass slippers. That honestly, I think, is, a big sense of irony right there, not being able to find the glass slippers. But with this equip spell, it's the one you use with Prinzessin. If this card is equipped to a fairy monster, it gains 1,000 attack. If this card is equipped to a non-fairy monster, it cannot attack. Also, if it loses 1,000 attack. If this card is sent to the graveyard because the equipped monster is destroyed, you can target 1 Prinzessin you control and equip this card to that target. So being able to reuse the glass slippers with Prinzessin is very, very good on that card. It just boosts up Prinzessin, but when you equip it to another monster using Prinzessin's effect, you can, definitely shut down that monster depending on which one you equipped it to. I have the 2 Call by the Graves as additional cards for this. If you get more glass slippers, just take out the 2 Call by the Graves, because I definitely do want to run 3 of this card. It's just so good and searchable with the deck. And I also run 2 Iron Cage. This card definitely does help to take care of other problems your opponent may have when it's activated. Send 1 monster you control to the graveyard, but if Golden Castle Stromberg is on the field, you can send 1 monster your opponent controls to the graveyard instead. And once per turn during your standby phase, you can target the monster that was sent to the graveyard by this card effect, destroy this card, and if you do, special summon that monster to your field. You can only activate 1 Iron Cage per turn, but it gives you resources from your opponent. It also gives you options for, taking care of pesky monsters against your opponent. So I definitely like to run the 2 of this card. And from Battles of Legend, the newest one is Gingerbread House. Now, doesn't really play much into, Cinderella or any of the other fairy tales, but it's a good card just for during your opponent's standby phase. You can have as many monsters they control as possible, gain 600 attack, then destroy as many monsters they control as possible with 2,500 or more attack. And if you do, gain life points equal to the number of monsters destroyed times 500. This attack gain remains even if this card leaves the field. You can use the effect of Gingerbread House once per turn. So it's a continuous spell. So just being able to build up your opponent's attack, and then destroy those monsters is a big part of this play, gaining life as well, which definitely is a big added bonus as well for the deck. Plus, for a little more generic cards, I run 2 Terraforming, just more search for your important field spell in the deck, so you definitely need those. I run 1 Gold Sarcophagus, another search, if need be, for another Golden Castle Stromberg. Also very important for the fact that if you, search 1 out with this card and banish it, then add it back later, you risk the chance of banishing it with one of your other Golden Castle Strombergs already on the field. I also run 1 Monster Reborn. You're not limited to what you can special summon in the graveyard, so that's why I like to run this card. And I also run the 2 Twin Twisters, because back row, if they take care of your Golden Castle Stromberg, it really does shut down your plays. Plus, being able to send a monster to the graveyard to Reborn with Monster Reborn definitely does help, since you obviously can't normal summon if you use the Golden Castle Stromberg special summon. And then for the traps, personal tech of mine that I really do like is Gravel Storm. You target 1 spell and trap on each side of the field, return them to the hand. So this gets around the banish with Golden Castle, also bouncing an opponent's spell or trap back to their hand during their end phase especially, so then they can't reset it. It takes care of one of the problem cards as well, while also giving you the chance to reactivate Golden Castle of Stromberg during your main phase and avoiding the banish. And I also just like to run a small solemn lineup, so 2 strike, 1 warning, and 1 judgment. With the gain from Gingerbread House, you also have the reuse of a lot of these cards, also when you gain the life. So that's why I like to stick to these traps along with Gravel Storm. And then for the extra deck, I pretty much go pretty generic with the extra deck. So 1 Underclock Taker, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Cerberus, 1 Trisbana, 1 Borreload, and 1 Boral Sword for the Link monsters. And then for the Exceeds, I run 1 Excalibur with Iron Hans and Iron Knight, 1 Utopia, and 1 Utopia the Lightning. More rank 4 plays to go for with them. Same with Castell, Tornado Dragon, Exciton Knight, Gaga Cowboy, and then just for a few level 3 plays if you have the carriages, Super Quantal, Grand Pulse, and Leviair, the Sea Dragon for those plays. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. I've been wanting to give a Fairy Tale deck for quite a while, just haven't had the chance to get around to making it. But I hope you all enjoyed, and until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.